Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal in the dark, apparently. Let me see if I can find some more light. And it's Friday evening. I'm in a hotel room, people. That's why the lighting is all weird. I'm just trying to think where I can put the light that works best for you guys. Looks a bit Halloweenish, though, right? Let me think what I can do here. Not much. So we'll just deal with what is. How about that one? Tonight, we are going to be talking about coping with life in general. And I found some really nice quotes for you all that hopefully will make us all feel a little bit better about what's going on in our lives. I want to just say, if you are new to the broadcast, bear with me a second. I'm hoping I don't drop the computer here. I'm still trying to work on the light issue. It doesn't work too well. And you know, I'll just about get all the lights sorted out when I'll be moving again. All right, there we go. Hi, Sandy, good to see you. So we're going to be talking a little bit about, feeling better about life in general. And I thought this was a great quote to start with. And that was, happiness is a direction, not a place. How many of you agree that what we're all working towards in terms of being part of DearMamaSal is to enjoy our lives more, to find more happiness in our lives? And, you know, as some of you have already found out, that is not as difficult as you think it is. I just want to let you know that I was amazed. Sam's got both hands up. I was amazed that today, for example, between the two broadcasts, I did one at lunchtime, for those of you who don't know. We do 3 broadcasts a week, one at lunchtime on a Friday, Pacific time, one at 7 o'clock in the evening, and then we do another one on Sunday. Hi, Izza, good to see you. And so, you know, between the two broadcasts, I did 2 things. Number one is I went out and I walked half a mile, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's half a mile that I haven't done the last couple of days. And then I came back, and I know this is probably not something that any of you will necessarily appreciate the value of this. Hi, Sharon. But what I did was I later went down to tell the hotel that I would not be here after Monday. And instead of taking the elevator back up to the 4th floor where I am, I decided to find out how many flights of stairs I could do, knowing that I did not want to touch a handrail. Do you all understand? It was like, I don't want to touch the handrail because otherwise I've got to disinfect the whole way up. So let me see how many flights of stairs I can do without hanging onto a handrail. Now, I'm not quite sure what your guess would be, but remember, I'm 73. I have hip problems, and and I am obese. So the question is, I thought, at least I know the place that I'm going to. I'm going to be on the 4th floor as well. So what I wanted to see is whether I could work my way up to being able to do, the trips up without groceries, up without actually having to use the elevator. And so that's what I did my test run. So I'm not seeing any guesses here from my team here. But anyway, but the main thing was, do you agree with me that the happiness was the fact that I actually went to try it? Because I've been thinking about it for a while. And then I thought, and I think today I'm actually going to try it because I want to check my lung capacity and things like that. So happiness was definitely the direction. When I worked out how to open up the door to the stairway, which was a little bit challenging, just the fact that I got that far In other words, my intent was there. Do any of you agree with me that, the thing about going out and walking isn't about going out and walking, it's getting outside the front door. Have any of you discovered that? That's what causes the problem. I don't want to get outside the front door because it's nice and cool in it. So Sharon says we're not obese, we are fluffy. Now, you might well be fluffy, but you know me, I deal in my reality, and my reality is, well, I don't know, because I haven't been able to weigh myself for the last couple of weeks. So that's on my list of things to get, is a new scale, because I saw my old one in the dumpster outside my house. For those of you who don't know, I am 2 weeks away from my house catching fire, and I have been displaced living in this hotel room, and I am about to move to a suite on Monday. So there we go. But I agree with Jody that fluffy sounds so much better than obese. I would like to say I'm wobbly. But the whole reason I wanted to tell you about this, oh, come on, don't give me grief here. Sorry, the whole reason that I wanted to tell you about doing that is because it didn't really matter whether I did one flight or more. What was important that I tried it. So I challenge you all to see what you can do this week. All right. See if you can, by any way, find, a couple of flights of stairs and see how many can you do without holding on to the rail. Now, not holding onto the rail requires that you balance. Now, you all know, it's like my concern was my left hip, because I've been having problems with it. And the good news was, seeing as the question was, how many flights of stairs do you think I managed without holding on to the guardrail, the handrail? Because I didn't want to touch either side. I wanted to just walk up the stairs, so I didn't have to overly disinfect on the way up. And so, right, so Sharon's saying I couldn't do that. My balance isn't always good. All right, so Sandy's going to come in with a guess of 3. All right. Now, do you think that's 3 with stopping on each one to catch my breath, or 3 straight up? I want to see how. Because I thought about that, like, 4 flights of stairs, that's a lot of up. And anyway, the good news was that I actually made it all the way to the top without even stopping on the way. Now, was I breathing deeply? I was breathing deeply by the time I got to the top. But the good news was that I did it. And the incredible thing was that I did it without favoring my left side. Oh, that's so cute. Sam saying, I feel like I'm betting against you if I make a guess. It's so not fair. Well, you see, it's got nothing to do about being fair. It's that you are that kind and, and not wanting to insult me in any way. But the truth is, I'd far rather you had guessed, because that's the fun of it. And, don't ever, if somebody asks you for their opinion, don't ever hold back. If you'd said 1, I would have totally agreed with you, because that's what I thought I would be able to do. I thought I'd do 1, because, you go up a certain amount and you turn and then go up the next amount. That would be 1 floor. And I quite honestly thought I'd do 1. So when I got to the 1 and I'm going, hey, I think I can do 2, I went up to 2, and then I thought, well, something, I think I've still got it in me to do 3. By the time I'd done 3, there was part of me that said, that's probably getting close to enough. And I went, yeah, but it's not enough. Even if I have to stop halfway, I'm going to keep going. And I literally did. I went up and boy, how do you think I felt when I got to the top? And, I was interested to see what did it look like on my fitness trackers. And because obviously I was huffing and puffing quite well. So I thought I'd show you guys. Let me just get to it. Wrong one. Hold on, Sal. Go to... Yeah, you probably guess where it was. All right, if you have a look at that, you can probably guess where I was climbing the stairs. It's like, shoom. So what do we know? Very good exercise. Yeah, I did feel accomplished. I felt proud of myself, to be quite honest. I know they say pride comes before a fall, but I don't want to fall, so I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to tell you is that I had every reason to be proud because, if I put all the factors in, my age, my problems with my mobility over the last year, everything else that I can throw into the can, I'm going, wow, I did 4 flights of stairs without stopping. I am doing, you understand the lung capacity that takes? And especially if you remember, part of my constant question mark is there any residual damage done from the fire? And that was part of what I wanted to know. And if I'd only been able to do 1 flight of stairs, for example, I probably would have been telling my doctor that. But the fact I was able to do 4 flights of stairs without holding on, in other words, I wasn't pulling myself up 4 flights. I literally walked up the center. So here's my challenge to you all. If the 73-year-old can do 4 flights of stairs, I'm pretty certain that most of you can. But here's the thing. If you cannot do 4, then isn't it a great thing? How many of you will challenge yourself to see how many can you do? And here, I totally understand if I start hearing the excuses why you can't, because that's life. But how many of you going, that'd be interesting to see? Yeah, what does that emoji mean? Hi, Beth. Good to see you. Big hugs to you, honey. How you doing? So I will challenge you all to see how far you can go. Now, we know Beth will probably be able to go up 20 flights of stairs without even breaking a sweat. But the rest of us, who are working on getting healthier, it's a good way to check. Beth saying, I've been disconnected for a bit, been working a lot. I knew that in the moment that you took over being a manager that we were probably going to see less of you, Beth. But it doesn't mean that we don't talk about you or don't think about you. You are still in our hearts and minds. How about this one? Ayn Rand said, learn to value yourself, which means to fight for your happiness. All right? If you're not doing what it takes to be happy, then you are not valuing yourself. There were a lot of things that I should have got done between the 2 broadcasts. And I just said, I am not even going near anything until I have gone for a walk. And that was the first thing. I did the half mile. And by the way, I did the half mile just around the car park here, all on the property of the hotel. And then when I came back, the first thing I did was to find out, do I have accommodation starting Monday? And I did. That's when I decided to go down, tell the reception that I was giving notice that I'd be leaving, and then to be able to, climb up the stairs back again. So Sandy's saying, I do about 10 flights a day. All right, so you're in a 2-level house, or do you do 10 continuous ones? Yeah, when I lived in a 2-level house, I understand why it's easy to do 10 flights a day. And I always used to say to people, I'm just going to go on my stepper now. And they go, I didn't know you have one. I said, no, it's called a staircase. So if any of you got a staircase, don't buy the fancy equipment, just go up and down your stairs. Yeah, I think 10 flights a day is awesome exercise, also exercise for your hips. And as you gathered, what I was most amazed at was that my left side was able to do that. And it didn't quit on me. I didn't sort of get halfway up and then start feeling the pain that I needed to limp up the rest of it. I just went straight up. I was going, wow. um, how about this one? Our capacity to draw happiness from aesthetic objects or material goods, in fact, seems critically dependent on our first satisfying a more important range of emotion or psychological needs. Among them, the need for understanding, for love, expression, and respect. So my question to you, you know how happy you get when you buy yourself something new. Understand this was a whole new life for me that I could do that. And that's brought me great happiness. Sam saying, I told Sandy this, but I get like 10,000 steps in on Saturdays, but next to nothing on the weekdays. I'm always operating in the extremes. How healthy do you think that is, Sam? I'm just throwing that out there. And Sandy's saying, yes, plus a 2+ basement, not continuous. I couldn't do that. That's what I'm saying to you. It'd be really interesting next time you get near a building with a flight of steps, see how many levels you can go up. You probably surprise yourself, because I surely surprised myself. I really didn't think I would get up more than, the one flight. How about this one? Oh, wait a minute. Let me see what Beth says. I almost hit a deer on the way home from work today. Wow, that's scary. Saw my life flash before me. I was able to slam on my brakes just in time for the deer to stare at me like I did something wrong. Yeah, the deer in the headlight stuff, right? So, Beth, I'm so glad you're safe. That's the most important thing. And Sandy's saying the same thing. But the interesting thing is that if you had left work a split second earlier, you might not have been. If you had, you know what I mean? It's just like, how many things had to come into play that you were at that particular point and you were exactly that far away that you could stop in time. Karen's asking about recipe books. You want me to print them, or what is that, Karen? I'm welcome. Probably the other viewers are chuckling because they know I'm not a person that would. I'd have difficulty writing a recipe book, only because I very rarely measure things. I sort of I huck things in and cook. But it's nice to know that you're here. That's the main thing. Welcome. And Karen, did you happen to just find us, or how did you get here? Hi, Sarah. Sarah's saying, I could use some more help. That's what we're here for. My son's father abused him, and now he wants to see my son. My son turned 18 today. All right, the important thing is your son turned 18. That makes him an adult. Am I correct in that in America? And if so, Sarah, that would be his choice rather than yours. At 18, I'm pretty sure that he will make a choice of his own. There is no have to. He does not have to see his father if he doesn't want to. Beth is saying, I was just thinking if I still smoked, I might have been trying to light a cigarette and not see it coming. Blessed to have quit smoking in more ways than one. You're absolutely right, Beth. I tell you, Beth, what is it, 8 years for me now? I want to tell you, I don't regret it. Boy, I tell you, I got very close to smoking the night of the fire. And then I reckoned I probably inhaled enough smoke to last me a lifetime. Sam is saying, not healthy at all. Lost all of my motivation when the gym closed. I went from 140 to 185 pounds in only a few months. Not so great, but a great place to start. If you remember, when I got diagnosed with diabetes, I had packed on 30 pounds, with whatever had happened. So, to me, this was, and I've now lost, I believe, at least 18, I think, of those pounds. So, I'll let you know when I get a scale how I'm doing. I really have no idea whether I've been putting on weight or staying steady or dropping it since I've been in the hotel. Sarah, I'm pretty sure that you do not want him to be visiting his father, but his father might have waited until he's an adult to ask. Wow, Beth managed to get her weight up to 125 pounds and now stable and holding steady. Beth has got to be the only person that I know of in our group who actually, worked to put weight on rather than lose it. The rest of us are trying to lose it. And, and Beth is trying to put it on. That is amazing. You now have a belt to, oh, you have a butt to to hold up my jeans without a belt. That's so funny. All right, you got the curve around your butt now. That is so cute. How about this one? That the true secret of happiness is taking a genuine interest in all the details of daily life. How many of you have started to realize that there is happiness in every moment of your life if you choose it? Or you can make every moment of your life hell just by the way you're thinking. I found out, for example, that the makeup that I bought to compensate for all the makeup I've lost, just to keep me going until I can, work out how much I have to rebuy. I was amazed that, the color was, although I thought I bought the same stuff, I didn't. And the color tone was wrong for my tone of skin. And I think I did a lot better today. All right. It doesn't look totally off. The last few days, it's looked really sort of yellowy, orangey. And so what I've been doing is, you know me, I've been experimenting. How much moisturizer do I need to mix with it? And how much do I need to mix the one color with the other until I get a tone that actually looks like mine? And I'm doing better. That's for sure. And so happiness you can have is knowing you do not necessarily require happiness. All right. And that's part of it. To me, and for those of you who are regulars, I love to challenge myself at doing things all the time. I have, was talking at lunchtime about how much I have learned about, instead of washing my clothes every day, to actually ionize put them in a bag with an ionizer and get rid of all the bacteria, but there must be bacteria. The other thing is living in a hotel room. It's strange because I really only let them in about twice a week to clean. The rest of the time, I just do things myself. And so, and this week, they came earlier in the week, and today I put some garbage out. But other than that, I'm not letting anybody in now until I leave. So Jody's saying you need more blue or neutral base than the yellow or orange. Yes, I quite agree. It's difficult to tell the true shades in the store because the color oxidizes after applying to the skin. How do you mix how much moisturizer, as much as I need, Sarah. I want to tell you that, the reason I've got a skin like mine at 73 and having had close to 20 years in the African sun without sunscreen, I believe is because I mix my own foundation, and I use moisturizer and a little bit of face powder, and I mix them up. And because I realized one day, what is moisturizer? And so to me, it's just like, and not moisturizer. What is foundation? It's a color powder inside, suspended in some sort of moisturizer. Makeup tips with Mama Sal. I have done them in the past. I will gladly tell you or show you what I've done for my lips today. If you would like to know, I'll go and get them and show you. But it's interesting to me, right? It's learning is. I swear by Lubriderm, as I use Lubriderm as my moisturizer. And my skin, if you look at the videos when I first started doing YouTube, I think you'll find that my skin is probably better today than it was then. Which is pretty impressive, really, when you think about it. And one of the things I noticed is that I have to actually concentrate on getting makeup on, because with all that's been going on, I haven't been bothering to put makeup on unless I'm doing a broadcast. And I realize that means I'm not moisturizing my skin every day either. So I've decided every day I need to put makeup on so that I make sure I moisturize my skin. And how many of you agree that happiness depends on ourselves, not an external thing? Don't wait for somebody else to make you happy. One of the things I'm going to do to look after myself this weekend is probably not go. I still haven't totally decided. It depends how far I get. I'm probably not going to go for my Chinese dinner on Sunday, because I have to pack to be ready to move out on Monday. And so I will miss my evening of laughing. So, it's just like, okay, fine, but I can still have a happy day. Let me see what's here. Jody's saying, you look beautiful in the videos from years ago, but even more vibrant and healthy now. Yes, because I was smoking then as well, remember? When I started doing YouTube, I was smoking. And so I quit whilst during the time I've been on YouTube. Sam is saying, Jody, you are spot on about the foundation. The higher the pigment, the higher the oxidization too. We see all these incredible, All right, I'm going to show you what I got just for the lipstick thing, because it was interesting. I decided to get something totally new. Yes, Lily is 2 years old as of the 10th. We actually did mention that. I knew that it was round about that time, Beth, and I did mention that on a broadcast. Wow, Victoria's down from 286 down to 160. Isn't that amazing? Hold on, everybody. I'll be right back. Okay, so first of all, I just need to, hi, Pat. the first thing I need to just make sure you know is I'm not being paid by anybody to talk about this. So, but I do want to just let you know, this is the name Stilla. 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 It is Stilla. Okay, this is the name of, and it's like a liquid lipstick, but they taste of chocolate. So this is all that I had was, I put that one on first. It's a great company. I never heard of it. You know, I don't know what inspired me to get this that day, but I'm so glad I did. And then you all know I use up what's left in my lipsticks and things by turning them into lip gloss. So now I've got a straight lip gloss, and I will just do that, and then just in the front part. And there you go. And then I check my teeth. So how simple was that? And so the little, I got like a whole set of them like this. And I know that that's not a lot of light for them, but hopefully you can see. There you go, that's better. And I think they're all pretty autumn-like colors. They're sort of now I also, I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like I'm sounding a lot better than I was at lunch. So maybe going out and getting stuff. Oh, interesting. Sam has heard from them as well. She loved their lip gloss. Well, yeah, I never even heard of them, but they must have seen something about the fact that these lip glosses, which is what they are, I guess, but these are stains, more lip stain, I think, but they made to taste like chocolate. All right, so Sarah's going back to her question. Mom, DearMamaSal, should I support my son or try and help his dad get back with him? I usually only support my son. It is so sad. Okay, good question. All right, let me tell you what I think. I presume you want my honest answer, Sarah? And I say that because, you know, people who know me well know not to ask me a question like that unless they really want my answer. Wow. And just while I'm waiting for that answer from Sarah, let me just tell you what Beth just said. Finally, I can go to work without wearing makeup. First time in my life. And I don't really care about being all dolled up. I know my personality is what stands out. It took me 50 years to figure that out. Well, there you go. I am so proud of you, Beth. Yeah, I want to tell you the first time I did a DearMamaSal broadcast without any makeup on, I thought I'd really learned. Okay, Sarah thinks there's going to be a 2x4. And for those of you who don't know, when I want to tell somebody a truth, I normally give them a warning. But you know, the reason I wanted to just check with you, Sarah, is because I think the fact that you want to help either of them is magical. I totally understand that you would want to support your son. But you know, the fact you'd even consider helping your ex, I think shows how much you've grown. Right? I think that shows me how much you've grown, because that means that you have room in your heart. You're not holding on to resentments or anything else. And you can see that your son has every right to get to know his daddy. Whether he wants to or not is his stuff. Now, I'm not going to ask you to answer this, Sarah, but there's part of me, you love them. Exactly. That's why I asked if it was okay if I could tell you the truth as I see it. I see the fact that you want to help both of them shows a great level of love, but there's a part of me that goes, do they need your help? Or will your help be seen as interfering? So you could offer it, but it's just like, that what I would do is I would be the cheerleader and make sure they both know that, this is an incredible step that they are willing to take. And I'm pretty certain somewhere in the good book it says something about let he without sin cast the first stone. So what I'm saying is that, whatever your ex did, however horrific that was, it's, who knows whether he has, repented, whether he has, I don't know whether he's stopped that behavior or not. Neither I don't suppose anybody does, right? And I'm pretty certain that there are viewers who are going to say, once an abuser, always an abuser, but I don't know, maybe he's done therapy. And, I would think the most important thing is that will his meeting with your son cause harm to your son? That would be my question. Because if your son wants to meet him, he has every right as an adult. And Sam is saying, talking about Beth's comment about the makeup, she's saying, I can so appreciate that, Beth. I feel naked without my face on, but the pandemic has allowed me to change that. I love working in PJs now. Yeah. Okay, so you said to who that he was wrong? Your son or? I've missed something in between here. He was wrong for doing what? Or you told your ex that he was wrong? Right. Of course. Of course he was wrong. But, part of me, forgive me for this one, Sarah, but as somebody who was abused, I know the other side of that. I don't think anybody in their right mind abuses children. Do you know what I mean? And, it's amazing. What I love about DearMamaSal, why you and I are having this very serious conversation, we've got Sandy and Sam busy talking about PJs, working in their PJs. And I just want to address that because this is all about life, because that's what I love about women. They can talk about so many things at the same time. So to me, this is about it's okay. It's okay to wear your PJs. Please concentrate on wearing good shoes. I noticed that over the last 10 years, I really damaged my ankles by not wearing shoes in the house, wearing flip-flops in the house or slippers or whatever, not wearing shoes that supported my ankles. So I've worked really hard, as some of you know, in the last few months to try and build up my ankles again. All right, now let me see. Sarah's saying he beat my son up. He won't agree that that was wrong. So what do I do? You breathe. All right. And if he, one of the things that I've learned in life, Sarah, right or wrong, is that if he is convinced that he did nothing wrong, no amount of yours telling him so is going to change that. And I'm pretty sure you can all relate to that. When somebody tells you that you are wrong, what happens to you psychologically? I want you to think about that. If somebody said to me, well, you smoked all your life, you deserve all the problems you're going to have. All right. Hi, Pia. Good to see you, honey. So, Sarah, do you understand what I'm saying here? Is that if he doesn't see that what he did was wrong, now I don't necessarily need you to answer this, but I'm pretty sure that everybody in the room would have one reaction if he physically abused him, i.e., hit him or did whatever, as opposed to sexually abusing him. And we don't have the definition of which of those he did, nor do you need to give it, I hasten to add. But I want everybody to feel how differently they would judge that situation. What if he just up and clipped him one or punched him, when he was misbehaving, or smacked him when he was misbehaving, versus, another sort of an abuse? One of the things that I've always said is, the sad thing to me is that women who were sexually abused don't show the scars outwardly. And this is a pretty heavy subject for us to be speaking, but it is life. And when the Me Too movement came about, one of the reasons I did a broadcast about Me Too is that I bear those scars myself about abuse. I have been abused, right? And, I know that you don't live those down. Your son has been hit by his father. Okay, we got that definition now. So, and therefore he was psychologically scarred. But there again, Sarah, I've got to say something that if I go back a generation, my mother beat me regularly when I didn't do exactly what she wanted. With the hairbrush or whatever she felt like. That was her anger management. The way she dealt with her anger was to hit me. And one day I got hit black and blue because I was singing "Oh My Papa." My father had left a long time ago. And, she couldn't handle the fact that I was singing that. And so she punished me pretty harshly, I thought. So I don't know. And again, up to you whether you respond to this or not. Whether he hit him once or regularly. All right. How did I deal with the abuse? I want to tell you, it took me years, decades to deal with it. And I'm pretty sure that if I hadn't done that work, I wouldn't be doing the work I do today. I wouldn't be here with you today if I hadn't done the work that I did on myself. You see, I realized it was something I had to deal with. I couldn't live with that shame and that guilt and that, horror. I needed to deal with it. And I spent a lot of time. I read a lot about it, but I also went to therapy. And I would say that, really, if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Not that I wanted it to happen or want it to happen to anybody. Okay, so Sarah's saying that her husband hit him regularly. What age would he have been then, Sarah? And that he drew blood. I mean, really, this was a serious anger management problem. So my question is today, I would also ask is, he did that to an 11-year-old, and he didn't see that as being not a good idea. He probably had a father who did that to him, Sarah, and you would probably know about that, because there's a very good saying that says, monkey see, monkey do. So if that's the way he was disciplined, that is the way he would discipline automatically, because that's comes as second nature. That's what he learned. So it takes a very strong person to break that cycle. And I would really, if I were you, work really hard with your son to make sure that he does not continue the cycle. It's your son that will need the help to break that cycle. And to remember that, good parenting is not what he saw and felt. That he needs to learn what good parenting is before he ever gets near it. So, and you think maybe the abuse came from the mother, not from the father. Possible. It was pretty sexist of me to think it was the father. I apologize for that. Because women are, as I said, my mother, she couldn't handle the anger. So she would beat it out of me. But in those days, Sarah, in those days, I'm that a generation probably away from you, but in those days, that was how they dealt with their anger. When you think about it. And if I go back to my mother's parents, they dealt with it, even more harshly, with sticks and belts and all sorts of things. So, to my mind, it's we've come a long way to know that that is wrong, really wrong. And I went to a boarding school in England where I got corporal punishment, regularly because I didn't behave myself. You can imagine. It turns out the nuns really liked me. I found that out later. But I kept doing things that they needed to punish me for, and rulers were their way of correcting you, right? And it was quite normal in those days. My brother went to boarding school where he got caned, with a cane regularly, because he was a bit of a rebel as well. But it's just like society has changed. We know it's wrong now. And so that's why I'm saying I would be working more with your son, just to make sure that he doesn't parent like that. And I would be talking to him about, I want you to think about this because you need to be ready. And that every time your child disobeys you or doesn't do exactly what you want them to because it's a control thing, what are you going to do? What are you going to do so you don't repeat what your daddy did? Because you need to start working on those anger management issues now to make sure you don't carry them forward. That's interesting. Sarah's saying she was punished with rulers also. Okay, so Jody was hit with a belt. See, there are more people in this room. I had a feeling that would be true. Beth is saying, I remember being in school when I would get into trouble, the teacher would make me hold out my hand and smack it really hard with a ruler. Yep. You see, we all got abused. Sam saying, the cycle of abuse is perpetrated by poor coping skills. Why do you think I do the work I do, Sam? I feel like I will be the one to break the cycle. You keep doing the work, you will. And Jody's saying she was hit with a belt, and Sakura's saying, ouch, I got chalkboard, erasers, ruler, and writing on the board, or sheets of paper or a notebook. Right, so, we've come a long way. Aren't we lucky? In our lifetime, we can see it changing dramatically. And so I want to tell you that I am not without sin on that one. I can remember my children, I got married and inherited 3 stepchildren. And when they misbehaved, I smacked them on the leg. I didn't smack them, didn't bend them over my knee and hit them with a hairbrush. But, I did smack them on their leg. Why? Monkey see, monkey do. I'm not proud of it, but I did it. I am not without sin, right? I am just trying to tell it as it is. And if I could undo that, I would, but I can't undo it. Oh, Beth is saying an apple tree switch when I was young. I had to sit and watch my mom strip the bark off it before she used it. It was worse watching her strip it than it was to get hit by it. Wow. That I can feel. You're saying that your ex still hits until he draws blood? Is that what you're telling me, Sarah? Because if so, I would make sure that my son had really good coping mechanisms not to push those buttons. Okay, so what are the chances of your son and your ex getting into a fist fight? Sounds like it's pretty high. So maybe that is the conversation that you have with your son and go, I just tell him the truth. I'm between a rock and a hard place. There is no way I want to stop you, and I can't stop you because you're an adult. He doesn't want to see him. I actually would say that's a very smart move. But I also would use it as a teaching moment to say, what caused it? What caused your ex to hit him? Does he know? And, to talk about the lack of anger management training and to ask your son if you can help him learn better skills. Jody is saying, to this day, I can't even look at a belt that has a large buckle. I hear the noise of the buckle in my head, and it brings up tears immediately. This is not the conversation I thought we were going to be having this evening, people, but it is life. And so, isn't it amazing that we have so many people in the room that got abused in different ways? That's awesome. Sarah's saying, we talk, but I will talk more. Yes. And Sarah, how good is, before before I go on too much, how good is your anger management? Because you might not be the one to talk to him. What you might want to do is to get him to somebody who can talk to him. If he is smart enough to be able to talk about it, it might be an idea to encourage him to go and get with some therapy on what happened to him and how not to transfer that when he gets angry. I don't know. I mean, your son. What does he do when he gets angry? Does he lash out with words or does he lash out with action? So I would want you all to think about this. I've talked about this before, but how many of you find that when you get into an argument, you cry rather than say what you're feeling? Because, nice people don't get angry, or whatever you were taught, little girls should be seen and not heard, whatever it is. But, one of the interesting things, right? Sam saying, I cry or I shut down altogether. Totally understand that, Sam. That's why I asked the question. All right, so Sarah's coming back. Sarah, I really want to tell you something. It is amazing that you're talking like this. You understand how many people in this room you are helping by asking your question? Big hug, honey. I've always said, it takes one person to bring up a subject for everybody to be helped. All right, Sarah's saying, I encouraged him to do that. When he is angry, he hides, he withdraws. So do you understand? If he withdraws, he's not dealing with his anger. All right, he's doing what Sam is saying, he's shutting down. That's why he hides. So, but doesn't mean that he knows how to deal with it. He knows how to get away from it. Get it out of the line of fire and go and hide. But I would say it might be a really good thing, so that when he has children, and children push you to the limit. They really do. And so I would say it would be a really good thing for him to do if he's smart enough to want to do it. All happiness and unhappiness solely depends upon the quality of the object to which we are attracted by love. Think about that. All happiness or unhappiness solely depends on the quality of the object to which we are attached by love. I always used to say to people, isn't it strange that the very reason I loved somebody in the first place is normally the reason I broke up with them? And I want you to think back into your relationships. How many of you can say, yes, that's true? When I met them, they were the life and soul of the party. But, after I married them, the fact that they were the life and soul of the party really got up my nose. It's like, it's an amazing thing. Or they were really quiet and listened to you a lot. And then by the time you're married, you're going, how come you never talk to me? Beth is saying, I would shut down, no emotion. I had lots of practice hiding. I would start to abuse myself. I am not worthy of eating. Yeah, I remember that, Beth. I don't deserve anything that would sustain myself. That's the old me. I remember the old you, Beth. I remember it well, and that's why I'm so proud of the work that you have done. So this is a really important thing for us to understand. The fact that you shut down doesn't mean that you don't have emotion. What it means is you have gone numb. Okay, hold on a second. I need to find my whiteboard. So what I'm about to show you is something I worked out about me. I don't know, I don't have a magic piece of paper that says I am a qualified anything other than a human being. But this is what I found out for myself. That, life, you're inclined to do the sort of ups and downs of life, right? Some days you feel a bit better than others and whatever. What I found was that if I got terrified, trauma in any way, I would go out of this normal rhythm and I would go into survival. Why? I learned survival very, very early on in my life. So when anything used to be overwhelming to me in terms of terror, I would disconnect. I wonder if any of you relate to that. Beth obviously does. I think the thing that triggered me about Sarah saying that her son withdraws is does he withdraw into survival? And what happens in survival is you just survive. You don't live. You just survive. Now, unless he's got really good coping skills, he won't be able to get from survival back into living again very quickly. Oh, Sarah's saying, oh my goodness, I know survival. Does that visual help you, Sarah? Because that's what I realized I did. I knew where to go when it was overwhelming. I didn't live. I went into survivor. I learned how to act as though I was okay. Jody's saying, I learned to dissociate from my body. Yep, me too. And to see it from the outside in, like it was happening to somebody else. Okay, this is definitely not the conversation I thought I was going to be having with you guys today. I'm hoping that the visual helps you see the difference. One is a natural flow of ups and downs. You'll have good days, you'll be a bit pissed off one day and happy as a clam another. That's quite normal. Okay. Beth is saying, I actually felt better about myself after I would starve myself, and I was good at it. I was proud of myself. And then later in life, I found out I got stressed. I would withhold food. and I would feel the release. Yeah, isn't that a terrible thing? Yes, it does make sense to me, Beth. Yeah. Right. That was, you had been a bad girl. That's what you were taught. And so what you would do is you would go into your own punishment regimen. For a lot of us, you all got this picture now, right? You understand what I was talking about. I sometimes think that just drawing it makes it so clear that this isn't a normal flow. It is like like Beth, you gave me the example for which I will always thank you, that diabetes is like when your sugar warehouse is full, it can't take any more, so it sends it out to the blood flow. I think about that all the time. Oh, thanks, Benji. Hi, Benj. But I think about that example all the time because the mind thinks in pictures. If you think about it, the mind doesn't think in words. The mind thinks in pictures, which is why I believe Christ talked in parables. And the reason he talked in parables, in stories, because people would remember the pictures of the story, not necessarily the words. So I look at it and I go, the most important thing is, number one, Sarah, you can recognize the risk as well as the reward. Number two, that you are prepared to help your ex as much as you are your son. But on the other hand, your son is 18, and now it's a case of he gets to do what he wants to do, but that doesn't mean you stop being a mother. You'll always be his mother. So not that you nag him, but you make sure that he has the understanding of if things start to get nasty, he needs to get out of Dodge, out of the line of fire, and he needs to get help on how to deal with this so that he doesn't pass it on. With all due respect, I believe our parents did the best they knew how. I really do. I believe my mom raised me the best way she knew how. The problem was she didn't know very much. And she was terrified that my behavior, would affect her marriage, for example. And so all sorts of things happened. And I wasn't a bad kid. I just wasn't perfect, you know me. And so, I look at it, and parents can be incredibly cruel. Young children can be incredibly cruel. But, young children don't know any better. But parents, with all due respect, I think we need parents to pass an exam in parenting before they're allowed to give birth, so that they know that these things are wrong. And yet, I meet other people whose parents are so kind and so loving and so everything. And I'm going, which book did they read? Because I want to share their book. All right. I want to share what, and so, to me, Sarah, if I asked you right now, what help could we give you? I find it really interesting. One of the viewers made a comment on the lunchtime broadcast. I saw it on comment, and she said, if you could wish for one thing, what would it be? And I don't know if any of you saw it, but my reply to her was, I wish that I am able to cope, because that's what we're talking about. I wish that I am able to cope with everything that's about to hit me. Right, in terms of all the pictures I'm going to see of the stuff that they couldn't save, of all the decisions I'm going to have to make that I don't want to make, about throwing things away. And do I really want this wallpaper rather than that one? You know what I mean? It's like all these things, they're all going to be decisions and they're going to need to be made. in a hurry, and I don't like doing that, as you know. And then there's the whole business about having to, get rid of my shed. How do I get that done? I really don't know right at this moment. But I'm allowing myself to make the move, and then I've got 2 weeks to work it out before I have to get rid of the shed. So, it's like one step at a time. Sarah's saying, I need to know that I'm a good mum, even if I still want them to be friends. I can't say whether you're a good mum or not. I do believe that you're a mum that did their best. And that is, quite honestly, all we can ask for. For those of you who heard me talk about Yvonne, there are many things that Yvonne did in parenting that she wished she'd never done. And to this day, she begs for forgiveness. But, she did her best. She didn't know any better. When we, ignorance isn't bliss. Ignorance is so incredibly painful. All the work that we do here at DearMamaSal is to make sure that you are aware, and then you make a choice. But if you don't understand the damage that we do to ourselves, if you don't understand you're doing it to yourself, not somebody else doing to you, then things are different. Yes, Sarah, thank you. Big hug. Sarah's saying, I did my best. Good girl. That's all that I'm certain if you got to do it again, you do it differently. And she's saying, and I do my best, just as a continuing thing. I believe everybody in the world does their best. I don't think anybody wakes up thinking, I think I'm going to beat the living daylights out of somebody today. Sharon is saying that we got spankings, and sometimes my mother would give us a lecture, but would leave us in tears and shaking. Yes, shame and guilt and hurt. And fear of abandonment. How many of you were scared that if, or literally, how many of you heard the words, I brought you into this world and I can take you out? To say that to a child, I've heard people say that a lot in my life, and I'm going, do they have any idea what that feels like? And whilst we're talking about that, another friend of mine, I want to tell you, she never, ever wanted to do anything on a Sunday. And it took me a while to realize there was a pattern about not doing things on a Sunday. And then one day I sat with her over a dinner or something, and I said, we got to talk about Sundays, please. And she said, what? And I said, talk to me about Sundays. Why is it you never want to do anything that's on a Sunday? And the story, Sarah, that I heard? She and her siblings were lined up every Sunday, and all the siblings would get into trouble on a Sunday after church, get into trouble, and my friend would take the punishment for them. Well, that's two things. Pretty sure you're not going to want to go to church as an adult. And secondly, pretty certain you're not going to like Sundays for the rest of your life. So this is all about Sarah. I encourage you to come and talk about your journey, because it's a difficult journey. And any of you that are also struggling with those sort of leftovers of fear and anger and whatever, I must admit that what I had to learn was to open my mouth and actually talk about the fact I was angry, rather than go into that survival place. And that took a great deal of courage on my part, because I was pretty certain if I told anybody what I really thought, they would never love me. And what has amazed me is I now have people in my life that I try desperately hard not to get angry, but I now have people in my life that love me enough to understand that when I get that angry, they just need to let me vent. And they also know it, and they also know that I will be accountable for it. And I don't hold on to it for very long. But every now and then I get that angry. And so therefore, Samantha's saying, yes, your voice is your power. So a part of the problem is that we didn't learn the words. And, I got Benji in the room, and I don't know if he's still here, but what I do know is when I listen to him talk to the girls, and he can see their body language, that they getting frustrated or whatever, he will actually talk to them about, give me the words, tell me what you are feeling. He literally encourages them. And to me, that is the greatest parenting. And I've literally been in the room and heard that and cried inside at what an incredible gift to give his children, that they have the words to describe what's going on. And so that is the sort of help that I'm thinking, Sarah, that your son, even at his age, might still need. Does he have the words to talk about being upset without hitting anybody? And I can assure you, when I get that upset, I still end up in tears because I'm not very proud of myself for losing my temper. But, I do know it's far healthier for me to do that than it is to go and stuff it down and put myself into depression. And the other thing is, I'd like to say that I have also learned that I am strong enough now where if telling my truth actually does totally destroy a relationship, then probably that wasn't somebody that would be able to deal with me long term, that would be able to love me long term, because I am flawed. I'm not a perfect person. And, I like it that I don't do it very often. I can show you I don't do it very often, but when I do, I mean it. Bernice is saying, when I'm angry, my response to different things depending if I do have the words or not. Yes, when I do have the words, I stutter. Wow, that's really interesting. But when I don't, I destroy order. Interesting stuff, Bernice. Got to go. Right, Bernice, we'll see you soon. Thank you for your input. Sarah's saying, I'm not sure I want him to see someone, but I can't force him, no. He sees it affects me. Yeah. Jody's saying, I get frustrated when I can't communicate effectively. The tears flow. Yeah. So you understand that this is life. And if you can see it, you're halfway to fixing it. If you can see that you don't have control of your emotions. Hi, Alexis. Oh, how do I deal with a breakup? Not the way I did. I'm sorry to laugh, but really, there's part of me that goes, I am totally the wrong person. But I'm not. I really know that I literally spent 5 years trying to get over the last breakup of a relationship. And that was, many years ago. And the thing is that I kept thinking that I had done something wrong, or, that why didn't he warn me? And the truth was, it would have been far healthier for me just to say, it didn't work, now let me move on. It wasn't that I needed to change that much, or anything, which is what I always used to think, that I must have done something wrong. Why did he do that? Well, he did it because he was a, what? It wasn't, I didn't create him to do that. He did it. Why? He didn't talk to me. He didn't communicate. He didn't do whatever. 1 minute I was in a 2-year relationship, and the next minute it was over, and I had no warning that I knew of. And yet, when I checked into it, I guess I must have had signs, but I ignored them because, I was in love. Sarah, I am so glad that you can see it and that you get it. All right. I would say that this is really going to be a difficult time for you because you will want to interfere and you maybe need to stand back. I think, like anybody in Dear Mama Sal, we always ask people, what support can we give you? All right. And I would say that would be I would say to my son if I had one. I do say that to my sons. When I hear them in problems, what I'm inclined to say is, how can I support you? Or why did you call me? What is it you wanted from me that you called me? Yeah. And, it's amazing the answers you get. I don't presume I know. I think it's a very important question to ask. And again, how many of you just need the ability to be able to tell the story? That's what you need, is to be able to talk about it, because you realize that talking about it helps you process it. And so for me, how do you get over a breakup? You do your work. You don't try to fix them. You don't try to lay the blame on them or anything else. You understand it was just a relationship that didn't work. And it's time to move on. I used to get really upset that men seem to be able to do that in a heartbeat. They'd break up with me today and they'd be off with somebody new the next day or the next week or whatever. And I go, how do they do that? Well, the way that they did that was because they don't hold on. They just go, that's over, next. Now, it might seem incredibly callous, but it's how they do it. They don't spend 5 years going, how could I have done this better? And and I wish I had, or if only. No, they just move on. So, and that's not all men, obviously, but they do it a lot better than a lot of women I know. So I'm pretty sure that everybody in the room has been in a relationship, and let's hear what other people say. Jody's saying, sometimes merely hearing Sal's voice when I'm struggling is a balm to my suffering. There have been many a painful night that a few supportive, loving words made a world of difference for my coping. Yeah. And funny enough, with Jody, I know that sometimes I don't even bother to give her comforting words. I will send her some idiot thing, a GIF that will, I know, make her laugh, right? And like I will listen to it all, and then I'll just send her a GIF. It's just like, and then she sends me an even funnier one back again. And what do I know? She has got off the hamster wheel, because to be able to find the GIF that she knows is going to crack me up, you see, that makes her smile too. Do you understand the point? I think sometimes our job is to give whatever support we can, but it's also our job to help them move on. Yeah, okay, fine. That's cute. Jody's saying, she makes me laugh, and a GIF is like a love letter. Isn't that lovely? Oh, you felt that today, Sandy. Okay. So you understand that what support is what the other person really needs. Sarah's saying, I think my ex made it horrible to break up. 10 dozen roses while he is with another. Oh, I've been there. I've been there, Sarah. That is like, how two-faced can you be, right? And that probably made you so angry when you found out about that. Yeah. I had that happen a couple of times in my life. So you ran over the roses. By the way, did that make it better? You see, that's an interesting thing. Does anger change the situation? Does it make it better? I don't think so. what makes it better is to get on with your life. Sarah said yes. She felt better. But the real you, I don't mean the one that was acting out of anger, but the real you. There is a really nice you in there. Did that person feel good about what you did? Hi, Mandy. Mandy's saying, I'm getting over a breakup right now. I know myself very well. I have an addictive personality, and so I fall into something good, something I can get lost in. Wow. Mandy, where are you inclined to go? Like when I totally understand that it's great that you have an addictive personality. So what is your go-to place when you go through that sort of emotional pain? If you choose to share, you don't have to, Mandy. It's just such a great topic. What I love about doing Dear Mama Sal is I never know when I start a broadcast where we're going to end up. All right, because I will always go with the flow rather than what I planned. Autumn, hi, Autumn. Good to see you again as well. I'm one of the lucky ones that never experienced a bad breakup. Wow, I married the second man I dated. The first was the high school fling. Isn't that? We are so happy for you. I know it's not just me. I'm pretty certain there are all the romantics in the room just going, oh, don't I wish? I think that's amazing. And how wonderful that must be. All right. So I still want to get Mandy on. Okay. So Mandy's saying, is it okay if I repeat this, Mandy? Because I don't know you well enough to know. So is it okay for me to repeat what you're telling me out loud? In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that answer, hi, Kez, good to see you. Okay, thanks, Mandy. Kez is saying, he bumped into an abusive ex years after we broke up, and he said he shouldn't have broken up with me, and I was the best woman. I said, you blew it, and you got to live with it. Yes, absolutely. He did the right thing. He did you a favor. So Mandy said, if I am sad, I let myself have a bad day and I will turn on Netflix and eat a pint of ice cream on Friday, just once in a while. Yeah. Actually, Autumn's been here before. Just Mandy that I don't recognize. But, for all we know, Mandy's been listening for years. Let us know how you found us, Mandy. And so, Kez, I totally get that. Right? To be able to have the character to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, actually, I want to thank you for doing me a favor. It really, really is magical. It says a lot for your emotional intelligence. Jody's saying, I had one abusive relationship before I met Lionel. Total opposite of my Lionel being the total opposite of her previous relationship. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I want you all to know, and that's why I'm so grateful that we got to talk about it, is that having something like abuse happen in your life doesn't make you a loser or whatever, unless you choose to let that happen. All right. I think some of the greatest people I've met have been survivors of abuse, because they are survivors. They don't let it get the better of them. I suffered greatly for the first half of my life because I thought I wasn't suffering from it, but I was, because I kept stuffing things down. I didn't talk about them. And so Autumn's saying people who have gone through those experiences have a lot of strength from those hard times. And I admire you all for having made it through. You're right. That's what I say as well, Autumn, which is, survivors are very special people. And Autumn is saying, yes, I've been here before. It's been a while since I've been on. Lots going on with your life. Well, I want to tell you, Autumn, it's always a pleasure to see you, and especially in the autumn. So Maddie is saying, so I lose myself in good things like journaling. There's a whole online world of online journalists you can journals. You can obsess over also coloring books and all types that are high quality art. Yes, very good thing to do. However, my experience has been that talking about it is really also really important, because you need to be able to process it. And I found that when I just did things, I lost myself in good things, whatever creative that was, I still wasn't dealing with it. Does that make sense, Mandy? That I still wasn't actually dealing with how angry I was or whatever. And what I found works really well now is I have a few people in my life, not many, but a few, who are my venting people. They're safe people. I know I can vent to them and they won't take it on. All right. They won't get sucked in for whatever. I know that I can say to them, this is what's happening to me, and I just need to vent. If people take it on too much, I stop venting to them because it's not fair. They're not, I don't want to cause upset to anybody else. But the same as when I talk to you about my stuff, do you understand? It's helping me process my stuff. When you come in here and you talk about your stuff, you do understand that what it's doing is it's taking it out of being sucked away in your mind somewhere, and it's taking it out and making room for other things. Plus, you're getting input, hopefully, that will be helpful to you. It was said that as people spin faster and faster in the pursuit of merely personal happiness, they become exhausted in the fertile effort of chasing themselves. And all happiness or unhappiness, we've talked about that one already. Benjamin Franklin said, happiness consists more in conveniences of pleasure that occur every day than at the great pieces of good fortune that happen but seldom. When you can make every day happy by the way you think and the way you act and the way you don't lie on the couch and feel sorry for yourself, whatever, that is what makes people happy. I would never have walked the stairs today if I had curled up after the first broadcast and said, I'm not feeling well, I need to sleep now. I knew I'd had a good night's sleep, so I didn't need to sleep. What I needed was to get some fresh air. And look how much better I sound already. And I needed a meal. And guess what? I really craved mac and cheese, which is not a good meal. Why? It doesn't have any color in it. So I know it's not a good meal. But then I said, but wait, what if I get highly creative? And I took about a full cup of vegetables, fresh vegetables, snow peas, carrots, peppers, and I liquidized them into a sauce. And I threw the sauce in with the mac and cheese. And then I felt really good about it because I ended up with a healthy mac and cheese. Kez is saying, I ended an emotionally abusive relationship last year to help me. She drew the bad feelings and it helped. Yes, it does. It's a really good idea. It's called art therapy. It's a really good idea. So, what I really want to encourage you to do is to realize that each one of these experiences is a learning lesson for us. And, one day you're going to stand tall and say, I won't put up with this anymore. It's enough. And even if at the risk of losing a relationship, it's enough. I can't deal with this. So I need to, but the trick is, can you talk about it before it gets to that point? And that is what I found I was bad at in my earlier part of my life. I was really bad about setting my boundaries and saying, excuse me, you don't do that. Or excuse me, you don't treat me like that. And now I'm so much stronger. Now, I can, people will say, but you have to do X, Y, and Z. And I will say to them, I hear that's what you'd like me to do. But last time I checked, I'm an adult and I get to choose. No, 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 but you have to do it. I said, no, I don't have to. I'm an adult. Adults choose. They don't have to do anything. So I'll give it some thought and I'll let you know whether I choose to do it or not. Move on. I think understanding that I had a choice in everything as an adult made all the difference. But it took me a long time to actually know that I had a choice in everything. I wonder if that makes sense. It is said that a great obstacle to happiness is to expect too much happiness. I said at the lunchtime broadcast, you will know if you are emotionally intelligent when you can handle the bad stuff at the same level that you handle the good. So when you think about it, you can probably imagine without too much strain how much emotion I have going on about the fire in my house. How difficult it is for me to live this off-site type life. My address is still my house, but going there is a disaster. It's guaranteed to upset me at some level. But staying here in the hotel isn't good for me health wise either. And now I'm about to move twice in the next 2 weeks. So all these things put pressure on you. But can I be happy? I believe I can. It may mean that to be happy, I may cancel Sunday's Chinese dinner. Why? It will give me more time to just pack up and be stress-free for the move. Or if I get most of the packing done tomorrow, it isn't what I planned to do, but I could get a lot of the packing done tomorrow and just live, out of a little amount of stuff for the next 24 hours or so. I could perhaps even make it to the Chinese dinner. Right. So Jody's saying, Sal, is the benefit to continually evaluate the relationship the key? Staying in reality about it and not realizing self-worth. I could have avoided a lot of pain if I did that 30 years ago. So I think you answered your own question, Jody. I think what happens with our relationships is we lie to ourselves. All right. And again, to stuff too much down is not healthy either. If your husband is throwing his socks down the toilet to wash them, and that makes you upset, you do need to talk about it. It's a very expensive way to wash socks, but you understand what I'm saying. If they are always just dropping their clothes on the floor and never putting them in anywhere, this is like, you're not a maid, you're not a servant to them, you are a wife. It's a different thing. Jody. Yes, Jody's saying, listen to this, everybody, because it's really wise. I lived the world as I wanted it to be, not as it was. Again, the words, it is what it is, saved me, right? Not, I wish it had happened this way or whatever. I keep reminding myself it is exactly what it is. And, I wish that so many years ago, I had actually listened to my inner voice telling me this wasn't a nice thing. All right. That what I was watching wasn't a good thing. But, in the name of love, I would just smile and go, how many of you, I don't know if any of you did this. I was really good at this. I knew that if I got into a relationship with this person, I could fix them. I could, change the way they did things. No. Did any of you fall into that trap? Yeah, all he needs is a couple of years with me and he'll be, yeah. No, they didn't change. And I got hurt. It was said there is some kind of sweet innocence in being human, in not having to be just happy or just sad, in the nature of being able to be both broken and whole at the same time. Okay, so it's interesting. Sam is saying every single time. Yeah, Sam, so you relate, right? And Sarah's saying, I was a fixer. Yeah, when I gave up trying to be ruler of the universe, that helped me quite a bit as well. And it's not just with the romantic relationships in your life. How many of you know that this is true of all your relationships? Yeah, and Jodi's saying that she is a former fixer. And Autumn is saying you can't change anybody. Well, I don't know if that's totally true, though, Autumn. You can't force them to change. Hi, Kimmy. Good to see you. Kimmy, I added you to the fitness group. I don't know if you saw that, but just so you know. So you understand that I think that all of us here at DearMamaSal have changed. So to say that we can't change anybody, that's not true. We can only change them if they want to change. In other words, we can't change them. They will change themselves if they like what they're hearing, if it makes sense to them. Yes, Autumn, I agree. I think you can influence people, but ultimately it is their choice. Absolutely well said. And so, Sam, I definitely am sure that all right, your job is to remind Jody to remind me to add you, Sam. No problem at all. I'd be delighted. Mandy's saying, I recommend therapy to everyone who has access to it financially. It is a task finding one, but it's also easier with access to technology like we have today. Yes, I quite agree. And not only that, I always said to myself, Mandy, how different would my life have been if I'd been able to find somebody like myself, when I was in my 20s, somebody that could have talked about it in a way that made sense to me. Yasha said, I can't remember if I heard this on the broadcast or read it, but it said that toxic victims always bottle things up and accept everything and anything from people. I've been a victim for years. Yeah. It wasn't here. I don't think I've ever used those words, but that is, I totally relate, Yasha. And it's funny. I remember how many times I said to you, just keep coming to the broadcast. It will start making sense. And you've done so much personal growth in such a short time. It's amazing. Kez is saying, I wasn't the fixer. I cared heaps more about the other person and did heaps more for that person than they did for me. Codependency is a wonderful thing, Kez. I got, lots of, T-shirts about that. And then I came across a book written by Melody Beattie. Which one was it? I guess it was Codependent No More. I read that book and it made so much sense to me because she gave so many practical examples of codependency. And I read that and I went, I really now know what my problem was. And and then I started to really work on that side of it. And it was amazing how I changed. But, it takes time. So, when I look at it all, I want to just remind you all that the reason you've all changed and grown, and hopefully, how many of you are starting to actually laugh at yourselves a little? When you think about, I kept waiting for everybody else to change, but unfortunately, I was the one that needed to change. I must admit, I spent many a time going, how come it took me that long to find that out? And the thing, Mandy, I read all the self-help books. I really read them all, but you see, I understood them intellectually, but I didn't actually absorb them emotionally. How do I explain that one? In other words, it made sense to me, but I actually couldn't act out what they were telling me because emotionally I hadn't done the processing to create that. It's so difficult to explain. Does anybody know what I'm thinking about? So I read all the books. Believe you me, I read them and I could understand everything that they said. But sometimes it took me 20 years before I could put what they said into practice. Which is like, that's what they meant. And now I can go back and reread them and go, yeah, pity I didn't get that the first time I read it. And the reason I didn't get it was because I didn't want to change. I know that. Sarah's saying I have to sleep. You're in Eastern Standard. Thank you. Sarah, welcome anytime. Let us know how you get on. We actually would be interested. So, yeah. So really, please do let us know, because there will be ups and downs. If that journey of yours goes correctly with your son, there will be ups and downs. And in the ups and downs, as you handle them together, you will both grow. All right. And you will, learn to let him do his own learning. You can't teach him what he needs to hear necessarily. He needs to experience it and find his answers for himself. One of the most difficult things about being a parent is letting your children suffer. Kimmy's saying, I had to change. I got rid of toxic people so I wouldn't be sick. I want to tell you, I've watched you do that, Kimmy, and you've done a great job. Jody's saying, Sarah, I hope you sleep well and thank you for sharing with us. Remember, we're here for you. Very important that those of you who've come in for the first time or the second time know that we're here on a very regular basis. Sarah, it is our pleasure. Well, not our pleasure to hear your sad story, but it is our pleasure to talk about stuff. And I'm hoping that in coming here, you realize you're not alone. There are other people who are struggling just as much as you are and who want to fix it for somebody else just as much, but also want to protect their children as much as you do. And it's not easy. And that's why it's really great to see you in here talking about it. Thank you for being here. Carl Jung said, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the world happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better to take things as they come along with patience and equanimity. And you understand that is what I asked for when I was asked, what wish do you have right now? The wish that I have is to be able to cope with the ups and downs of what I need to go through in the next 6 months. But I also know that I need to give myself room to not be perfect. I also know that this will challenge my eating because I have an addictive personality. And when somebody upsets me, the first thing I do is go and find food. And so in this next 6 months, I probably will need to grow more than any of you. And then I do know, because I've talked about it already with you and with Yvonne and anybody else who loves me, there is some part of me that is quite scared about returning to my house. And so, but that's human nature, all right? I can see that I think I'd be a bit strange. I can look forward to my new bathroom to be, and I can look forward to my new roof and all the other things as much as I like. But that first night back in that house where my memory of it is, it inflames and trying to fight the fire, I am pretty certain the first couple of nights are going to be as scary for me as the first couple of nights I spent in it absolutely alone without any furniture. And everything will sound different because the furniture will be different. And everything will sound strange. And I will want things that I've thrown away and can't replace. It's going to happen, people. Yes, you're saying, I understand it's like reading for the sake of it, no understanding. But now that you've had past experience, you can clearly see what's happening, and therefore much more clearly. Yes, and also I can then help other people see it in a different way. And Kimmy's saying, Samantha, you're right, especially if it's a family, a child, letting go is really important to be able to let go. Kimmy learned that the hard way as well. And funny enough, they're more likely to come back if you can let them go without anger. If you can just say, hey, I need you to go and do what you need to do for you. It's not for me to tell you how to live your life. But no, I'm always here. I'm your mother. Sam is saying sometimes it's the only way that they will do what they need to do. Yes. To protect our children from all that they need to learn is not good parenting. I often think about how sad it is that today we don't we can't let children go play in the street and make neighbors the way they used to. We don't let them play in mud pies as much as we used to because we're so worried about bacteria. We don't let them go out adventuring in a strange field or whatever. We've got so many fears going on now, but think about it. Some of our life lessons were learned. Jumping into a puddle that we thought was this big and suddenly it was that big. I can remember one of my greatest life lessons was do not ride across a field after a big snowstorm. And you know why? Because I was riding across, this is easier drawn than it is explained. If I can find the pen, people. Okay, what did I do with the pen? Can't be that far away. There it is. Okay, so here I am. Okay, so here was the field, right? And here was the level of snow. And I'm riding with my horse. And quite honestly, if I think about it, the snow was almost up to my horse's belly. What I couldn't see, because this was totally flat, as I was looking at it, the field was totally flat. What I couldn't see was there was a dirty great ditch here. And so here I am, walk, and the horse and I are quite confident. The next thing, we ended up in a ditch. Now, I want to tell you, getting a horse out of a ditch is not easy. First of all, it was a big life lesson for me. That sometimes just because it looks like it's going to be easy doesn't mean it is. And that's why I learned about plan B, C, and D. As Sam's saying, a great point, especially right now, my daughter is developing a whole other level to her anxiety. You see, again, we have had people come in here, Sam, that had incredible anxiety, and just week by week, we've helped them deal with their anxieties and to even laugh about them after a while. And we've had people that have been agoraphobic and you name it. Beth had an eating disorder. All these things are just, they all have these incredibly good reasons for being there for people. All right. And to my mind, it is the greatest thing to be able to work with people and to support people who really understand. They're not 100% sure why they're doing what they're doing, but they've got a feeling that maybe they can fix it. And, it's such great honor to be able to hold their hand while they do that. Sandy's saying, oh, yes, half the time growing up, my parents didn't know where I was. Nowadays, you need to know. Yeah, I need to know where my kids are. Times are so much different. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that because they don't get to learn the way that we did. Yeah, we learned by making mistakes. And I guess in a way, our children learn, they've got the advantage of learning on the internet. Kez is saying, who can remember playing on the road and ever so often yelling out, "Gah!" Right? Yeah, and going on, but on the grass. Absolutely. But it's part of your childhood. It is a memory, a picture, right? I'm sure you can see it exactly in your mind. It's a picture you will never erase because it was so much part of that time of your life. Interesting. Kimmy's saying, and that's why I have asthma attacks at night. I have nocturnal anxiety and panic attacks in my sleep. It causes the asthma. Isn't that amazing? And so for you to be able to process a lot of that anxiety is really important. And Kimmy, in terms of you joining the fitness group, you know the fitness group is a mental fitness group, not just health. It's all about just taking it to more accountability on certain things. And so, this is a really interesting thing to me. Lauren did a great job of changing the way she slept by becoming accountable. Jody saved her life by becoming accountable. I have no doubt in my mind that she saved her own life that way. And so I think it's really important that we all understand, right? We can be as happy as we want to be. I can make the next 6 months hell on wheels if I wanted to. Or I can do the best I can and learn a lot along the way and go back to a new home. And I'm pretty sure, I'm just investigating this at the moment, but I've got a feeling they might have to completely rewire it from what happened to it. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure half the house will have to be rewired, if not all of it. And so I will be returning to a much safer house than I had before. Does that mean it'll be a house without any problems? No. And it'll be without a shed. So, when you look at it, it's life. Life has its ups and downs. And if I can not go into survivor, if I can just stay in the moment each day and be happy for who I am and what I am and great support I've got with the viewers, things will be fine. I just need to control it so I don't get overwhelmed. My house caught on fire, Autumn. If you go to the DearMamaSal site on YouTube and look down the videos, October the 23rd, I think, or the video would have been the 24th probably. It tells the whole story of what happened. Yeah. And I want to tell you that it was the most amazing thing, Autumn. And what made it most amazing was to stand there watching my house go up in flames, or half of it anyway. Third of it. And having the policeman next to me say, "Ma'am, are you always this calm?" And I said, "What?" And Autumn, he said, "I just want to know if you're always this calm. I don't know many people who can sit and stand and have a normal conversation when they're watching their house go up in flames." And Autumn, I turned to the policeman and I said to him, "Just answer me one question, please." And he said, "Sure." And I said, "If I screamed and shouted right now and threw a hissy fit and cried and said it's not fair and because I just bought it this year, would it make it better?" And he said to me, "No." And I said, "That's what I thought." Where were we? You tell your husband, Autumn, that when they took my blood pressure, they said to me, "What's your normal blood pressure?" And And I said, it's normally 130 over 80. And I said, why? Is it elevated? She said, a tad. And I said, oh, how bad is it? She said, 137 over 80. And you were fighting the fire for 15 minutes before the fire engine came. And your blood pressure is just 7 points higher than normal. By the way, one of the reasons that I've been doing everything that I've been doing in terms of can I walk up steps and things is to find out, is there any residual problem for my lungs? And so, you know, this is like, you can tell your husband that when I got my fire extinguisher, and you're going to hear the story, you'll see it on the video, but, you know, the first thing I did with the fire extinguisher was have it turned the wrong way. So the first squirt, I managed to cover myself in fire retardant, which is not a bad idea if you're going to fight a fire. But, you know, it was just like, there were so many incredible things that happened. And if you listen to the video, maybe while you're walking, and I say listen to the video, even if you just don't want to watch it, you just want to listen to it. It's quite a story. But all of it was, you know, everybody kept saying, everybody from the police, the paramedics, the insurance people, everybody said to me, are you normally this mellow? And I went, well, I want to tell you, there's enough inside that I could really let rip if you need me to, but I really don't see it's going to help right now. You know? And so instead, I was funny. And the one person that got it was my insurance man. And he said, you have an incredible coping mechanism. Your coping mechanism is to be funny. And my neighbor said, she's always this funny. This is who she is. This is not just a shock reaction. She sounds as normal right now as she does any other day. And that's what confused everybody. And really, I think because I was able to get out of the emotion of it and just see my house was on fire. If your house was on fire, what you need are fire engines. And you need somebody to check that, you know, you are breathing properly. So I did have the paramedics come and check me over. And you need to have somewhere to sleep, which my neighbor organized immediately. And you need to make sure that your insurance company knows all about it. And, you know, and that's really about all you can do. And then you want to give thanks, Autumn, that you totally over-insured your house because you didn't know how to insure it, and also the contents in it. It was my saving grace, quite honestly, that and even then, I will have what I lost depreciated, because that's what they do, and then they will only pay me X% of the depreciated value. That's what they do. So getting angry about that is not going to change it. See, that's reality. That's life. That isn't, oh, it's not fair. That is how the system works. And I'm old enough to know that's how the system works. So I look at it and go, aren't I lucky to be alive? And aren't I lucky to be able to talk to you about it? And I also look at it in terms of, hey, if I can survive things like abuse and all the other things, I certainly can probably deal with this, because I can see I'm going to learn a lot. And, you know, as fast as I learn, I'm going to be sharing it with you. I definitely want to tell you that I've certainly learned who my friends are. And, you know, how many people in the moment rush to say, if you need anything, let me know, but I never heard from them again. And I think that's sort of one of those things that socially people say. It's a bit like at a funeral. Just let me know if I can do anything. But is that ever followed up? No. And all of you who've lost loved ones, you know what I'm talking about. So when I look at it, it's all about life. If we can deal with life in the reality of what it is, not what we wish it would be. Well, you know, I can't believe they didn't do that because I would have done. Yeah, that's why you get so upset with life. You keep trying to compare other people with what you would have done. No, it doesn't work that way. You've got to accept them for who they are, and that's okay. And when we can do that, we live happier lives. And so here I am, not 100%, fighting a cold, but I can still hopefully share things that will make a little bit of something to some of you. So if you have enjoyed today's broadcast, I've always said, if I have helped any one person in the room, then it was worth doing the broadcast. So my question is, what, if anything, of the broadcast today was meaningful to you? Why, when you turn this broadcast off, will you say, I'm glad I was there? Let me know right now, so I will know it's worth doing another broadcast on Sunday. In the meantime, Bernice is saying, talking to you and asking how I am after Papa passed helped a lot and helped me be okay with what I'm going through. Unlike my mom saying, get over it, it's done. Oh, no. You know, Bernice, you are one of the kindest, most gentle people I know. And kind, gentle people feel things at a very deep level. Everybody feels things at a very deep level, but the kind and gentle people, they for them to get off that hamster wheel is more difficult. And so, and also you feel the hospitable people more. You know, you can't sort of just cut it off and move on. You know, you feel it very deeply. So I know how difficult that was when your daddy passed. And I also know all the stuff that went on around it was terribly difficult for you. You know, and I don't want to discuss what that was because that's nobody else's business, but I know it wasn't just the passing that was the problem. What I do know is that you have survived it very, very well. And I'm pretty certain it's still coming in waves at you. And we understand that. So we're just glad, but we're so proud of what you're doing with your food and how much fun you're having with that as well. And now we're going to help you get your driver's license. All right? Because it's not going to be easy, because it's going to be life. It's not easy to learn how to drive. But we will be here so you can get angry and frustrated with yourself, and we will hold your hand until you get your license and then get your freedom. Nyasha saying, I'm always loving these broadcasts. Thank you so much, Nyasha. And Nyasha, we always love having you here because you are one of our shining stars about somebody who didn't know half the things we talk about, and look how you're learning them so quickly. And Jody saying, talking about past abuse issues was unexpected but helpful. I didn't even realize I needed to continue to process that. Yeah, I have to revisit it quite regularly, Jody, because certain things will trigger it that I watch myself react. And I think part of the reason I react to the hotel and the community manager where I live is because it's control. And I don't do control well anymore, as you know. And Bernice is saying, yes, it is. Thank you so much. The driver's license, I will get a schedule on that after mom and dad leave because the house will be in better shape. Yes. So, you know, it's your next big goal, Sakura. And by the way, I went from having my blood sugar, Sakura. All right, Jody, can you do the, oh no, have I got my calculator there? All right, let me just wait a minute. I've got it here. I just want to tell those of you who understand the blood sugar thing, because it was ridiculous. I went on a 24-hour yo-yo. Just hold on a second. Come on. All right, so last night at about this time, I took my blood sugar and it was, I think, about 12.4, which would be 224 in American. So for those people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, you know what I'm talking about. 12.4 is in Canadian, but 224 in American last night. And then I did lots of water and protein and stuff. And between the two broadcasts, I took my blood sugar again. And this time it was 4.3. And I thought, I better take some food now. And so when I did take a lot of water in, that helped me correct that. So do you understand? I learned that all here. I learned that from people like Beth and Jody and Sandy and everybody else. I know how to correct it when I do it wrong. So Nyasha was saying, so true, before DearMamaSal, I was clueless about everything. And now I'm gaining knowledge in each and every broadcast. I don't think you were given a chance to be intelligent, quite honestly, Nyasha. I don't think anybody had bothered to explain things to you in a way that you could understand. And I don't think that makes you clueless. I think that made you uneducated. And we are happy to help you learn what we can. Sam saying, I love your broadcasts, Mama Sal. Thank you so much for spending the time and energy on us, despite what you have going on. I wish you knew the power of what you do fully, my dear. You know something, Samantha? I really mean it when I say if it helps one person, it's worth doing another broadcast. And I always say, if you want to thank anybody, thank Benji. Because remember, it was Benji who said, I want to share you with the world. And so every now and then, one of you will write me something really nice or whatever, and I will just paste it and send it on to Benji and thank him. And say, if you hadn't put me on the internet, I would not have received this. This credit goes to you, not to me. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember that life has its ups and downs, and that our journey is to be able to just keep on track, regardless of the ups or the downs. Isabel saying, it's helping a lot for me. It's like a pep talk, a safe place to be, and sometimes the only friends I've got at the moment. Your courage makes me want to be a stronger with my own. Yes, and thank you so much, Isabel. And so Bernice is saying, thank you to Mama Sal, and of course to Jody and everybody else. I am not alone here. We are part of a group of people. We are an extended family, and we help each other. And that includes helping me. So everybody, look after yourself. Remember that looking after one another is only possible if you can look after yourself. I seriously considered canceling today's broadcast, but how many of you know I feel better for having done them? I am a very selfish person. This is DearMamaSal saying, big hugs to you all, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now.